Huh? Yeah, she's doing well. See if this.
You know, it could be cold enough in the car, it'll freeze for the trunk.
I could do it the other way. Let's see if this is working. Not even sure. Trying out stuff. Trying to add a Zoom component. Nah, we were streaming on Facebook and YouTube, but not Zoom. So people couldn't like join in that way. So I'm trying to see if this will work. It says it's working, but I'm not sure. I forgot to change the all right, well, I don't know. We're gonna find out.
So the boy, the guy in Joliet, he lived with all of those people, 5 of them. Says he lived in the house with 5 of them. You know, he killed 9 people. Joliet, on the same street, 2 houses, one of the houses he lived in. He said that they didn't say how he was related to them, but he lived in the house with 5 people. 3 girls and their mother, and somebody else.
Oh, the male.
Oh, the male. So he killed all the people in that family. Then he went across the street or the next house, because they were all related. And then one guy he shot, he just injured him in the leg.
Oh, because they were, arguing about money, right?
Yeah, they said, it was an argument about money. But they found him all the way in Texas.
How you get to Texas that fast?
Great.
Anyway, welcome to Bible study tonight. For those of you all online, you hear us talking about something that happened out in the suburbs, and just trying to figure out how somebody got from Joliet to Texas in like 3 minutes. Pop, a day and a half. Pop, well, I guess you could get to Texas in a day and a half. That's accurate. But Pop said he drove straight. If you are with us online, I'd encourage you to make a comment so we can see you. Also, those of you who are part of the body of believers here at Quinn Chapel, you probably received an email. And in that email is a link. I'm trying something new today. So we're doing our best to keep moving with technology and to make sure we stay up to speed. For some of you all who are unable to be present with us as we enter into Bible study on the evenings due to maybe an inability to drive, those kinds of things, trying to add a Zoom feature to see if in fact you all might enjoy that or if it would be beneficial to the body. We are in chapter 9 of Forgiving What You Can't Forget. This chapter is about boundaries. And so that's important. Let's pray. God, we love you, we honor, adore you, bless you, magnify your holy name. We thank you for your love, care, and kindness. We thank you for all you're doing in this season. Bless us is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Couple quick announcements. I know that Black History Month starts it's not this week, it's next week, right? February. And so if you're here at the church, I want you to look out for some things that will be happening in this space. I also have some other things going on. We'll give you some additional information. I think the women of Quinn are meeting not this week, not tomorrow, but the following Thursday. And so we'll be sure to get you information about that. Also coming soon, we'll have some updates in related to our youth department. I'm so excited about some things happening there. So again, chapter 9 of forgiving what you cannot forget or what you can't forget. This chapter, the title is Boundaries That Help Us Stop Dancing with Dysfunction. Boundaries that help us to stop dancing with dysfunction. Boundaries are important. They're extremely important. It doesn't matter what portion of life you find yourself in or where you're at, that boundaries are vital to ensuring that things stay safe. You put a fence around the house to make sure that your yard has boundaries. You put I know that if we think about the church and the snow that we've had over the past uh, couple days or the last week or so, everybody's responsible for their boundary. Our first lady and I were driving, and she said they didn't shovel their snow. I said, well, I don't. There was no building adjacent to the lot, and so I said, well, nobody may be responsible for it. It might be a city thing. It might be a lot that's not privately held, and so that if something the boundaries around your facility, your building, your property are your responsibility, and it's up to you to take care of those things and make sure that you know safe things happen. And I think that's the same thing we got to think about now when we think about boundaries and how they help and to protect us as well. Um, that's Brother Ron. She starts out. She's talking about. She's telling a story about driving home and feeling devastated by her inability to fix some things that were happening in her life. And even there, like before we get like deep into her story, it's important to realize that there are going to be some things in your life that you can't fix, and you got to be careful as to how you walk through that or how you deal with that, because it can torment you and it can drive you up the wall, and it can make you feel some kind of way if, in fact, you don't, look at things through a certain perspective, realizing that there's some things I won't be able to affect one way or another. Right? When the weather gets this way, they say folks around here get what they call SAD, right? Seasonal affective disorder. That because it's gloomy outside, because the sun goes down earlier, it causes something to happen to your mood as well. And so, there's some things we can't make the weather change. We got to wait for it to change, right? We can't make the sun um, stay out longer. I mean, if we got rid of daylight savings time, that might make some adjustment, or because our timing will be different. But there's certain things that you can't walk through. Um, she was she said that she was talking about these choices that were being made by somebody that she loved a lot, and she had no say in those decisions, but she felt like she was deeply affected by them, that things were kind of pouring down on her and she was powerless to fix it. Um, and so one thing I think is important is she says, I cannot control things out of my control. It's easy to accept that fact, that I can't stop. Where did I go? That I can't. She can't stop the rain. Like when it's raining outside, you can't make the rain stop. You either wait for it to stop or you drive through it and hopefully get to a point where it's not raining anymore. But she talks about how it's much more complicated with people, right? It's not as simple as the rain, because there's a point where you feel as if, you assume all these other feelings associated with all the other stuff that's happening, and it causes you some frustration, rightfully so. Um, there are the sad thing is that a lot of us will walk around as if we'll walk around in the middle of things and will indeed think we know what's happening, and we don't really have a clue at all, right? And so it's not you got to be careful to to walk through those kinds of things. You got to be careful to um, not move in a space where you think you know everything, because you can negatively affect a relationship, or you can cause rifts, or you can have issues that aren't really issues at all. There could be stuff that just isn't really stuff that you cooked up and you made up, in your mind. So, um, she said part of what makes forgiveness so complicated at times for her is she's warned the person that she loves in advance that if they make that particular decision, it's going to cost both of them the price neither of us is insane, is in a sane or rational moment that they would want to pay. And she talks about that. She goes on to say, the more I'm deeply invested in a person, the more their choices affect her. Um, and that forgiveness is already complicated enough, and having to deal with those things when it feels like somebody is intentionally trying to get under your skin or bother you, then it makes it much harder than it really should be. And I know I've been through that. I've been through those moments, and I've been misunderstood, and I have, had to face some things that, if me and this other people had opportunity to sit down and talk, that we wouldn't have lost as much time as we did. We wouldn't have had as many issues as we did. We wouldn't have thought for so long that things were and they weren't, right? And so I think a lot of us need to pay attention to those kinds of things. It's difficult, you know. I don't know. I don't know what it is that makes us um, play out scenarios in our brain and make it real, right? It's true what I think they said about me, or how I think they feel about me, right? And so that's dangerous. I posted something today. It said I don't want the tea, I want the bread, and it said tell somebody else, right? And um I'm not moving in a space where I'm like I'm out to get this money, but the whole sentiment of I don't want the story. Like I don't want you to tell me, you don't come to me to gossip about something else or somebody else, right? Tell somebody else that I'm too busy, with my head down trying to do what God called me to do. So I don't know. I'm interested in any thoughts that are running through anybody's mind at this point.
That's part of the fantasy of life. He's one, he's one. God will love me, God really wise, you want the ideal family. But I mean, when she said, I mean, in reality, I mean, no one's perfect. You can have a perfect relationship, like you always before, up and down.
Mhm.
Married for X amount of years and they get divorced. I'm just like, you live together all this time, 25, 30, it's nothing about that person you should know. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, we don't get along. I'm like,
Right. When did that happen?
20-something years, it's just been what? I mean, you claim you love the person, you just throw it away. I always have an issue with people when cause I had a cousin, she was married for 30, yeah, they're like 30. I'm just like, I said, what don't you know about him? Well, I didn't realize it took you 32 years to realize that he was a certain way. Or I think maybe they just saw it and you just throw a blind eye to it too. You probably saw it from day one and just threw a blind eye to it, it's gonna change.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are people, right? Like when you meet folks, they tell on themselves pretty quickly if you keep paying attention. And then the problem is that we have already romanticized and fantasized who this person is and what it's going to be. So then, and then I hate to say it, Ron, but people stay together for stupid reasons. Like sometimes you shouldn't have been together in the first place, right? And and then you look up and you've been together forever, and then now instead of just trying to figure things out and loving on each other, now you get more. It's more important to play out the story, right? To play out the facade, and then you keep moving, and y'all haven't liked each other for a very long time, right? And until one day you get fed up and tired, and you're like, well, I ain't worried about what everybody think anymore, right? And it should have been that way in the first place, right? You should have, um, I remember I was dating this young lady, and Brother Urban, me and my cousin we went to hang out. These are my hangout days. I don't hang out anymore.
Hang out with your
Yeah, my wife and I hang out, but I don't hang out in the places I used to go. I don't go no more. Y'all heard that, right? So, um, and I my my cousin, it was JD. Me and JD went out, mama, and this person started blowing my phone up. Right, I left my phone in the car. When I got back to the car, I had 30 missed calls, right? And I couldn't believe it, right? But old knucklehead me, I didn't nip it then, right? I just kind of ignored it, right? It wasn't cute then. It wasn't cute that first time. It wasn't cute the 100 other times that it happened, right? But we ignore and romanticize things that we shouldn't. And then I got to the spot where I needed to keep it going because I was thinking about all the wrong things. I wasn't like focused on like the most important things. And I was more concerned about the appearance of things. And so then I ended up, you know, in some unhappy times, right? That was nobody's fault but mine, right? At the end of the day. Brother Irvin, you were gonna say something.
Well, I'm just gonna say while ago, that you can gossip and not think that you're gossiping. You're a person, you just do it. And all of a sudden, maybe when you get up and leave, you say, oh, God.
Right.
But you ask how is somebody doing, and then they'll stop telling you, what they heard or something. Like you go visit people who I haven't seen at college classmates or just anybody that you know in the past, and you'll ask them, and you'll realize it's your job.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
So then when they'll hear it, and they're like, y'all were talking about me? And it was like, but we didn't really say nothing. Yeah, but that's nobody's business. You should be talking about, so you're right. You gossip and don't realize you gossip.
I think you can't see it about them if they were there. You don't see it when they're not. Something you don't be able to talk about whatever it is as if they were there. If they would be offended if you weren't there. That makes you think, because mothers always say, everybody's always got something. You could be the best person in the world. She goes, she goes look at Jesus. She goes, somebody gonna have something to say about you. If it's gonna be negative.
Yeah, and sometimes you Brother Evan, to your point, you trust the source, right? You trust that the person knows what they're talking about, and you trust that, based on your experience, that they're being whatever they got going on is the truth and it's accurate, and so then we end up just passing that stuff along and not realizing that, like I said, you end up you either gossiping or we could have hurt somebody's feelings or something happened that we didn't account for. And
Blurred lines, because depending on where you are with the boundaries, so the boundaries with people at work, that you might not have if that same person goes to church with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's blurred, because you have, you know, all these boundaries, because that's why they always used to say that when they used to, on by, they would say, they would let a husband and wife work on the same job. Or some states, relatives can't supervise relatives. They do it, but now they're like, the lines are blurred, and so people do what they want, but it does create other issues, because the boundaries are so blurred.
Yeah.
Some people make it very obvious. Because in Hollywood, in Miami-Dade, I'm working for transit. Like she just said, husband and wife, any relative are not supposed to, be with other members in the family and doing, expected to do the same job. That was that's the place I didn't like to be in. Because it happened towards me, the brother-in-law, wife, cousins. At least 4 weeks going for the same job. The one who's the cousin